this bishop laid the smackdown on Trump. Not really. She said a very kind, simple thing. You should see Fox News' baby reaction to it. Such overreaction. They're like, oh, far left, radical, da 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 da. I was like, oh my God. All she did was say, have some compassion and have mercy on your neighbors and strangers, for we were all strangers once to Mexicans and queer people. I'm like, great. What a nice person. She said the kindest thing into this new America of sociopaths. They're like, oh my God, kindness, empathy? How dare you? How evil to be nice. So, yeah, everybody knows what's coming. Elon throwing out the Nazi salute. What's interesting is that if I grew up in church, I spent years in church when I was young. And one thing I learned is the book and the people are complete polar opposites. Jesus, the main character of the book, would be pro everybody. He wouldn't, if he was alive today, he would not have a problem with gay people or trans people. He wouldn't. He's the most peaceful human being alive. That was the whole point of him, that he loved everybody. He wouldn't have this warpath. If you would put a trans person in a room with conservatives, they would be mocked relentlessly. They would be attacked relentlessly. If they never said a word and just sat there, they'll get things thrown at them. At some point, they'll probably even get killed by these fucking animals. So I'm just like, it's sad because I'm like, they're getting worse and worse to the point where I'm just like, there was a point in time where I'm like, the left was so bad that I liked the right. And now the right's becoming so bad that I'm starting to like the left. Because I'm like, both sides keep getting radical. And I'm like, the right's becoming so just evil. I'm like, Jesus would hate you all. He would absolutely not stand for what you're talking about. God in Leviticus had a conversation about relationships. And him referencing, man should not sleep with man, for it's an abomination in Leviticus something 12. It's in reference to consummation of marriage. He's saying they can't get married being gay. He doesn't say that gays can't exist. He also doesn't say gays choose to be gay. These are all things made up by the church. The word lay is used in the context of consummation of marriage. You have sex to officiate your marriage. So he's not saying that gays can't exist. He's also saying trans can't exist because trans people didn't exist back then because you couldn't medically transition anybody back then. You couldn't do it until 1890s. It was 1893, the first actual transition. The Danish girl made a movie about it. So the idea that God is anti-trans, I'm like, you wouldn't know. Your book of bullshit was written 2,000 years ago before that ever existed. 1,800 years before that ever existed. So it is utterly ridiculous that God would be anti-trans when you have no idea, and that God is anti-gay marriage, but that Jesus, the main character of Christianity, has no issue with it. He wouldn't have issue with any of it because he loved everybody. He never said, Jesus himself never had an issue with these people. He never publicly said, I hate gays. He never said that. It's made up by the church. And this bishop telling Trump just to be nice and watching the reaction of the right, who are now the sensitive ones. Because it went from being the left being the hypersensitive, politically correct one. Now we're going back to like the 1980s and satanic panic. The right's going to establish what political correctness is. And anybody